what you had then was grass, cows, no asphalt, and railroad tracks. And that was it. It's 500 miles of nothing with North Platte in the middle of it. I want to read you these excerpts because they're pretty interesting. And I'm talking about the North Platte Canteen. It says the North Platte Canteen, it turned out, was an offspring of a mistake. 10 days after Pearl Harbor, the families and friends of the members of the Nebraska National Guard, Company D, heard a rumor their sons and buddies and sweethearts would be coming through North Platte on a troop train on their way to the West Coast. Military movements were confidential, but even with no announcement, about 500 of the townspeople came to the station with food, cigarettes, letters of love to give to the boys. The train finally arrived. The people of North Platte hurried towards the cars, but the soldiers on board were not Company D of Nebraska National Guard. They were Company D of the Kansas National Guard. After an awkward few minutes, North Platte residents began to pass out their gifts to the soldiers from Kansas. They hadn't been the boys that the townspeople were waiting for, but they were still boys, and they were going off to war. It wasn't the soldiers' fault that they weren't the right ones. The men and women and children of North Platte wished the Kansas soldiers the best of fortune, made certain they had all the presents they had intended for the Nebraska troops, and waved them on their way. Later on, a woman named Marie Wilson, next day or two, she wrote a letter to the editor in the local town paper. And she said, during World War I, our moms had a canteen in North Platte for the boys who were going off to war. We can do that same thing. We can step up and we can do something for these boys. So the idea of this canteen in North Platte was born. Now, mind you, this is 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor. We're not used to seeing things happen that fast around. I'm going to read you the rest of the story here. But before the air age, the Union Pacific Railroad's main line ran through North Platte. In 1941, the town had a little more than 12,000 people. Now, you adults will understand exactly what that means. There's not that many people. There's 12,000 people. When World War II began, with young men being transported across the American continent to both coasts before being shipped out to Europe and the Pacific, both of those Union Pacific cars carried the most precious cargo, the boys of the United States on their way to battle. The trains rolled into North Platte day and night. A local resident, or so I'd heard, who came up with the idea, why not meet the trains coming through to offer the servicemen a little affection and support. The soldiers were out on the empty expanses of the Midwest prairie. They were filled with thoughts of loneliness and fear. Why not try to provide them with the warmth and the feeling of being loved? On Christmas Day, 1941, now for those of you who don't remember your history, Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th. Christmas Day, which was December 25th, a troop train rolled in, and the surprised soldiers on board were greeted by the North Platte residents with the welcoming words, heartfelt smiles, and baskets of food and treats. What happened in the years that followed was nothing short of amazing. Some would say a miracle. The railroad depot on Front Street was turned into the North Platte Canteen. Every day, I'm going to read it, every day of the year, from 5 a.m. until the last troop train of the night had passed through after midnight, the canteen was open. Every day, from 5 a.m. till after midnight, at Saturday and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Every day. The trains rolled in for 10 minutes at a time before resuming their journey. The people of North Platte made those 10 minutes count. This is so astounding. You have to read the whole book to understand the things that went on here. The people, this is long before paper cups and styrofoam cups. The people of North Platte made pots of coffee for these guys. The only thing they had to take those pots of coffee or those cups of coffee in were coffee cups. The only way that the treats wound up in their hands, and there were birthday cakes on every train, because there was always somebody with a birthday, was in plates. Those soldiers got off the train, got a cup of coffee, got a sandwich, got a plate, got some treats, got back on the train and left. The plates all showed up at the next stop. Somebody gathered the plates up, put them on a train to go back, and came back and then washed them and started all over again. I'm getting off a little bit here. Each day of the war, every day, an average of 3,000 to 5,000 military personnel came through North Platte. 3,000 to 5,000. That's an astounding number. I'm not going to read the whole rest of what I have in here because there's just lots more to cover. But they, in the time, the 5 years or 4.5 years that canteen was open, they serviced 6 million vets. 6 million vets. In the day and age that we live in today, this is an even more astounding thing. It makes reference to the only funding that those people got was Franklin Delano Roosevelt sent a $5 bill to them because he thought it was a good cause. Every other penny spent came from the residents of North Platte. It was their food, it was their bread, it was their meat in the sandwiches, it was their coffee, it was their sugar that was being rationed, and yet they fed 3,000 to 5,000 men every day for 4 years. I can't even read this. I can't even think about it without getting choked up. If ever there should have been a Medal of Honor, it should have been for those vets who didn't wear a uniform and supported those that do. That's the best example I can ever think of what it means to me and what it means to every one of the vets that are sitting here today to get that letter in the mail, to get that phone call, to get that Skype from home. When things are grim, when things are looking bad, when things are looking tough, there is nothing like the love of mom, the love of wife, the love of husband, the love of son, and the love of daughter to pick you up and carry you. And that's exactly what they do, is they pick you up and carry you. When I was looking up the salute, I found one of the statements in there, and it says that any military person recognizing a need to salute or a need to return one may do so anywhere at any time. If you're a vet and you're in this audience today and you know what I'm talking about, I'm going to ask you to stand with me right now. And I want you to turn around, stand, if you want. And I don't want you to face me because I have nothing to do with this. I want you to turn around and you face the family, the loved ones, the ones that have really kept you up through your service. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Master Sergeant Bilosowski to take it from there.
Veterans, say